Reporting from Arkham Asylum, this is Gotham Rogues. In this video we take a look at the Batman episode, Riddled. Riddled is the second episode of the second season of The Batman and features the debut of the Riddler on the show. Feels like it should have been a Two-Face episode instead. Anyway, it was written by Christopher Yost and J.D. Murray and directed by Sam Liu. In it, we're introduced to a new supervillain in town called the Riddler. This enigma of a character has placed several bombs all around Gotham that can only be deactivated by solving riddles. By pure accident, Detective Ellen Yin gets dragged into all of this and becomes the Riddler's chosen liaison, tasked with disarming the explosives. However, along the way, she's secretly aided by the Batman, and together this dynamic duo discovers that the bombs are just a ruse, arranged to divert them from the Riddler's real crime, namely to steal all of the data from the city's mainframe. With all that information, Riddler will be the most knowledgeable man in Gotham, and he'll have complete control over the city too, free to do whatever he pleases with it and its citizens. So in the last The Batman review, The Big Chill, Mr. Freeze's debut episode, I was very negative to say the least. That was an episode that I saw when it originally aired, and I had a pretty clear memory of it. This one I had never seen before, nor have I seen any of the other Riddler episodes, so I came in with a completely open mind. And I gotta say, this episode is nowhere near as bad as The Big Chill. It's not great, but far from bad. The Riddler's scheme is actually very reminiscent of his plan in Batman Forever, to drain Gotham of all of its knowledge and make him the smartest man in town, while also giving him access to bank accounts and such. If you're not gonna do the whole prove to the world how clever you are Riddler plot from the comics, then this is a pretty good alternative. When Batman and Yin figure out his plan and confront him, Riddler also seems to be pleased. It's like he is interested in a battle of the wits with the Dark Knight, but it's not his main goal. I also really like that he knew all along that Yin was working with Batman, and that it was he who did most of the puzzle solving. It would have been kinda stupid if Riddler seriously thought that a police detective was capable of all that. But luckily that's not the case. This Riddler is not a fool. So like I said, his big scheme is pretty similar to Batman Forever, but in this episode they incorporated the riddle MO a lot better. In Forever, the riddles are shoehorned in as something is sent to Bruce Wayne, but in the end it doesn't even make sense why. Here, the riddles are meant to be a distraction for Batman. That fits the plot and the characterization we're given perfectly. Sure, it's not as good as the comics, where the riddles are the whole point, and the score is secondary, but still. I also gotta mention that Riddler is never given an origin in this episode, and not even a name, so he is basically a complete enigma. That's kind of fitting given the character's nature, and just like with the Joker, Riddler doesn't necessarily have to have an origin. He can work without one. There are some rogues that absolutely can't, like Two-Face, Mr. Freeze and Harley Quinn, but Riddler's origin story isn't the most important part of the character. In the end, I suppose I have to say that this version of Enigma is primarily a good and effective antagonist, but it's not the most compelling portrayal of the character. The episode itself is pretty entertaining and doesn't contain the weak writing of The Big Chill. It's a solid action thriller that actually reminds me a lot of Die Hard 3. In fact, this is Die Hard 3. Batman is Bruce Willis, Ellen Yin is Samuel L. Jackson, and Riddler is Jeremy Irons. It's basically the same plot, and that's a really good movie, so how can you not love that? Die Hard with Batman characters. I didn't talk at all about the voice acting in the previous episode, but I gotta do that now, because it's freaking Robert Englund aka Freddy Krueger who does the Riddler's voice. I think his performance as a character is great, right up there alongside John Glover from Taz and Wally Wingert from the Arkham games. It is a bit darker and creepier than those though, but of course it is, it's freaking Freddy Krueger. Lastly, I have to address the visual design for Enigma. It's the only really bad part about the episode. I get it, that this show wanted to be different, but this is just too much. The Arkham games Riddler design was kinda different what we usually get, yet it still definitely looked like the character. This doesn't really at all. If I just saw a picture of him without the question mark Kane, and I didn't know that this was supposed to be Riddler from a Batman cartoon, then there's no way I could have guessed. A lot of people say it's Marilyn Manson-esque, and yeah, I guess it is. But why make the Riddler look like Marilyn Manson? If anybody could look like Manson, it's Joker. There must be some people who like this design, but I'm not one of them, that's for sure. In fact, this may be my least favorite Riddler look of all time. So there you have it, that's the Batman episode, Riddled. Remember, Arkham Asylum awaits you in the next video.